Hey guys, it's Tackle Freak here, and welcome to episode 14 of my custom story creation tutorial for Amnesia Rebirth. And today we're going to be talking about a few things actually. We're going to be talking about guarding, we're going to be talking about the Enthralled state, and we're going to be talking about a random wander area. So a few things, but they're all actually very similar to each other. So I kind of wanted to compact them all into one video, and then I'll let you guys decide how you guys want to use it. But yeah, pretty much three things: guard, enthrall, and random wander area. Very similar, but they let you accomplish slightly different things. So we're going to go over those and you guys can take it from there. So let's go ahead and get started. So here we are in our level editor. So first thing we're going to talk about is guard. So guard is pretty self-explanatory. The ghoul will, or the entity that you have, the enemy, will hang around a specific object in your level. Like, for example, we're going to be using a basket here, one of these baskets, and he's gonna guard it. If the player gets nearby, he's gonna charge at the player, scare away the player, and then once the player gets out of the area, he'll go back and he'll guard it. Enthrall is pretty much the same thing, very similar. Enthralled, if you don't know what enthralled means, pretty much it's just a word for being attracted to something. So the ghoul will be attracted to some object you specify, and pretty much hang around that object. So it's very similar to the guard state, because if you get near the ghoul, he will charge you as well. I think the main difference is that in the enthralled state, the ghoul will be looking at something, at whatever object you want to specify. And then the last thing is the random wander area. So the random wander area pretty much is an area that you can set the ghoul to kind of hang around in. So you specify a radius, and the ghoul will just kind of hang around that radius, and pretty much just hang out there. And if he sees the player, he'll go after the player and whatnot. So let's kind of just get our level set up for testing that out today. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna come over here and we're gonna grab one of our baskets that are over here. We're gonna duplicate it and we're gonna bring it over. We're gonna have him. Of course, this is not this is just for testing. I'm not going to keep this in the level, but we're going to use this for testing. We'll go ahead and grid snap and we're getting our basket right there, I think is a good point, right there. So we're going to get this basket and we're going to have our ghoul guard this basket. So let's go ahead and give it a name. We'll give it a name, basket 1. And yeah, so we're going to have him guard this basket here. So that's all the setup we really need to do in the level editor for guarding. Of course, I could have used some of the other stuff, like we can have him guard the door or something like that. Pretty much anything in the level that's an entity, we can have him guard. Yeah, so let's go ahead and save up our level editor here, and let's go and head over to our CodeLight application that has our script. And I will review one thing from the previous episode for anybody who didn't watch the previous episode. So, or not the previous episode, sorry, from a few episodes ago, from when we did timers, and I believe episode 10. So the way we're spawning in this ghoul, we have a script, we have a trigger area down here called trigger bottom stairs. Under the area tab here, we have it colliding with the player. And when the player collides with this area, we call this onCollide player trigger bottom stairs function here in our script. And if we head there to our script right here, you can see when the player collides with that trigger area down there, if alt state is equals 1, which means that the player just entered the area, then we will create a timer that after 10 seconds will call a function that will run whatever we want. In this case, we're going to have we will have it run we have it set our ghoul active, and then we can execute whatever we want, and we'll be working in here primarily for today. And last episode we did have some stuff here, but I cleared it so we can get some new stuff here. and yeah, and we return false here just to have this only trigger once. We don't want to create this timer more than once. So by returning false here, we're saying we only want this to run once. Yeah, so now that I've explained all of that, we can talk a bit about the timer now, about the functions we're going to be talking about today. So first, we're going to be talking about guarding, and I'm just going to put a comment here. I'm going to say guarding, just so you guys can kind of identify the different ones we're going to be talking about today. And before we set this here, we're going to run a function here. This is just mainly to make our testing a little simpler, and that's going to be Ghoul set smelling. And you might have seen, if you've watched my previous episodes, you might have seen this. You might have seen me mention this command before. And what this will pretty much do is disable the Ghoul smelling. So we just don't want the Ghoul to sniff us out when we're like kind of peeking around the corner, because we kind of want to watch what he does. So we're gonna set this to false, and we'll close it out with the semicolon. So yeah, we're disabling his smelling, so he's not like he doesn't smell us and track us down. We don't want him to catch wind of us. Yeah, so that's obviously not required. You can leave that enabled, but I'm going to disable it just for testing purposes today. In today's episode. All right, so we're running functions from Ghoul. If this is your first episode, make sure you have this helper function here. It's pound include helper / helper agent.hps. This has all the agent and Ghoul functions that we need. So if you don't have that included at the top, this won't run properly. You'll get an error message. So make sure you got that added. And yeah, so now let's get started on the messages we want to on the behavior we want. So first thing we want to run, and with most of these you'll notice it's the same format. If you watched the last video on patrolling, you'll recognize the format. It will be Ghoul _ mode guard setup, and you can see it takes quite a number of parameters here. And actually, I'm going to zoom you guys in so you guys can see this a little better. And let's just kind of rewrite this here so you guys can see it. Mode guard setup, and I think it's cut off for you guys, but I'm going to run through all of these. But you can see it takes quite a number of quite a number of variables. But we'll walk through every single one so you guys understand. It's actually pretty simple. All right, so let's go ahead and add the function. So let me scroll down here so you guys can actually see it this time. So let's hold on, I click the button here. So let's do it. Ghoul mode guard setup. We'll hit enter. So first one, we want the agent name, so it's gonna be the name of our Ghoul, the same way it appears in our level. So his name is Ghoul Hallway. We'll do comma space. So now if we can have him specify where to look, we're gonna make him look at our level door, which is straight down the hallway. And I'll show you guys what the name is in a second, but let's just run through these first. So that's called Arabic for door exit 1, and then we'll go to the next one here. And then this is where you want the Ghoul to stand at what entity you want him to stand at. So we want him to stand at the basket pretty much. So we're gonna put in the name of the basket that we gave it. So basket _1 comma space, and then here we can specify an animation for the Ghoul to use when he's just kind of like standing there, like guarding the place. I will show you guys where those animations are actually. So, but let's finish writing these second here. We still haven't talked about animations, but I haven't really mentioned how to use animations for Ghoul, so I think it's pretty important to show you guys. So I'm going to show you guys that in a little bit here. But for now, we'll just leave it blank. It's not required. You can just leave it blank. We'll do comma space. You can specify a sound that you want him to make when he's guarding. Again, I'll just put 2 quotation marks to leave it blank. It'll just use like the default. Again, same thing. You can specify the animation he uses when he's disturbed from his guarding. Again, we'll just leave that empty. Comma space. So the default here is Ghoul speed fast walk. So since we have equals here, we technically don't need don't technically need to put this in here. It'll default to Ghoul speed _ fast walk. But if you want to specify your own speed, you can just type in Ghoul speed _ and then you have all the options here for how you want it to move. We're just gonna leave the fast walk here, and we'll leave the full example here for you guys to see. So this is our full command. So this is how we set up the guarding. These are all the variables that we require. If we go back to our level editor here, I can show you guys the level door here. So we're gonna have them look at the level door, and you can see it right here, Arabic fort door exit 1. We're going to copy it just to make sure I typed it in right, so we don't get any errors when it launches, and I'll copy it over to our script in a second. And again, basket 1 here. So let me go ahead and just paste this here. I think I got it right, but I just like to be extra safe, and it looks like I did type it right. All right, and that's pretty much that. And now let me show you guys where you can find those animations. So here I'm going to go to the root directory of the Amnesia Rebirth folder. So this is just like the core game files. And the way I find it, if you go to entities and then you search for character, this has all the other characters in the game that you can put in, not just the Ghoul. But we're going to go under Ghoul, and we're going to do animations. And these are all the animations that are registered with the Ghoul here. So you can specify any of these that you want here. For example, like if you do crawl, they end in .a and m. So if you wanted to do a search for it, you could search for it here. You can see I've done some other searches here, but you can do a search for .a and m. The way you do that is like *.a and m, and then you just hit enter, and then there's all the A and M files, so you can kind of like pick and choose what you want: attack, lunge, angry, all of that. So this is kind of where you get the name, and it'll be exactly the way it appears here. Like I think there's one called crawl. So like for example, this was called crawl, right? You don't have to add the A and M. You can just come over here and then just type in crawl, and that's it, and you'll get the crawling. You get the crawling animation. Actually, I might just leave it so you guys can see it, and you guys can play with that. But you don't have to specify this. All of this is pretty much optional, and you could just specify it for your own like custom story exactly how you want it. But for testing, you could just leave it blank. So with that, we pretty much have the guarding set up already. We can just go ahead and set the mode now. So to set the mode, we go Ghoul mode set. So it's the same one we used in the last episode for patrolling. And then in here, we'll type in the name of our Ghoul, comma space, and then we need the Ghoul mode. So Ghoul mode. And you notice we're going to be talking about guarding. We're going to be talking about Enthralled and Random Wander area today. But as you can see, there's other ones here. We've talked a little bit about Hunt, and Idle is just Idle. And we've talked about Patrol in the last one. Yeah, we're going to just, of course, pick guard since we set up the guard. And then we'll do comma, space, and force. AB force pretty much just means whether or not you want the Ghoul to drop everything he's doing and immediately go into this state, or do you want him to change states naturally whenever is best. So like he could be hunting a player, and then you call this function, and then he'll just suddenly drop everything he's doing to go guard this thing. So if that is what you want, you can set this to true. Otherwise, you can set this to false. Again, since this does say AB force equals false, it already has a default value, so you could just leave it like this and you're done. But we will put false just so you can see the full function here. And we'll go ahead and save it. And so with that, we pretty much have everything we need for the guarding. So let's go ahead and launch our game and give it a test run. All right, so here we are in our level. Let's go ahead and head down to the bottom of the stairs there where our trigger area is. There's the basket that he should be guarding. So let's head down and trigger him here. So we ran through this trigger area. In 10 seconds he should spawn. So let's head up and let's have a look. And we'll just kind of peek around the corner so he doesn't spot us too quickly here. So there he goes. Moves to the basket. And you can see there's the crawling animation that we told him. So since he's standing here next to the basket guarding, we told him to do the crawl animation. So he's crawling. Yeah, so he's not going to do anything. Of course, if we walk in front of him, we'll alert him. And he should come charging at us. And if we run and hide away here, he should just return back to the basket. That's pretty much what guard does. It kind of just it makes them defend the position and scare you away if you get close. So he should be back then. You can see he was already crawling, but I think he just spotted me. Let's see if we can get closer. Yeah, he just spotted me. But yeah, he goes back and he goes to defend the basket. And that's pretty much all that guard is. So let's go ahead and go back to our script, and now let's talk about Enthralled. Alright, so here we are back in our script. So let's go ahead and talk about Enthralled now. So what we'll do is we'll comment out this stuff here, and I'll leave it there for you guys to see. Of course, when we put the double slashes in front, it means that it's not gonna run that code. So now we're gonna talk about Enthralled. So let's just write it down. So we're gonna write Enthralled here, so we know it's Enthralled, and we'll just put a space here too, just to kind of make the clear difference there. Pretty much the setup is going to be pretty identical. We're going to do Ghoul _ mode Enthralled setup, so pretty much identical. As you can see, there's less values to put in here. It only requires the name of the Ghoul, the entity to look at, the position to stand at, and what's the name of the idle animation that you want to play. So we'll go ahead and hit enter here, and then we'll go ahead and type in our stuff. So Ghoul hallway, and I'll explain kind of why you would use Enthralled over guard in a second. And then the look at entity. So we're gonna have them just like I said, Enthralled's kind of like it pretty much just means to be attracted to. So what we're gonna have him look at the object that is attracting him. That's the typical reason why you would want to use this over guard. The entity is going to be the basket, so we want it to be attracted by the basket, and then we also want it to stand at the basket. So of course you don't have to have him stand at the basket, you can have him stand somewhere else, but we're going to have him stand at the basket, and then we'll do comma space, and then the last one is the animation you want to use. Again, you can leave this blank and it'll just use the default, but I will put one here, idle stand. So he should just idly stand by and do nothing. And again, if you go into where I specified entities, character, Ghoul, animations, it should be in here. It should just be, idle stand right there. You can see the A&M file right there. So that's the name you want to give it. Again, you could just take this out, but I kind of want to start introducing a little bit of animations to you guys. And we probably will be doing a future episode on just animations as a whole, maybe a 2-part episode for like player animations and then animations for like enemies and stuff like that. But for now, just know that's kind of how you can start putting in animations for that. And then with that, we pretty much have the Enthralled set up and ready to start running. So we would set this up again the same way as the one up here, Ghoul mode set, and then we would do Ghoul hallway, and then we'll do comma space, and then Ghoul mode, and then make sure we put mode _, and then of course you want to use Enthralled since we're doing an Enthralled state, and then we'll do comma space, and then we'll do here we'll do false. Again, the force means the same thing as the last one. Pretty much just means that we're not gonna have him force into the state. If he's not ready to be in the state, he'll naturally change into the state. And then with that, we can pretty much test it. But just to, again, to kind of explain why you would use Enthralled over a guard, and like I said, Enthralled by definition means attraction. It's when you're captivated by something. So so you would typically use this when you want the ghoul to like go to a point and look at something, like his attention has been grabbed by something and you want him to go and look at it, not necessarily to guard the object, as opposed to the first one where the ghoul is going to be there literally to prevent the player from touching the object. And pretty much both can be used interchangeably, and you might not even be able to tell the difference of guard and enthralled. But in general, that's about the usage. Enthralled just a bit more simple for just having a ghoul be attracted to something and just kind of stand near it, as opposed to the guard, where the guard, he's gonna like guard it, and if he's gonna be on high alert for the player. So with that out of the way, let's go ahead and run our game and check it out. Alright, so we're back in our level, so let's go ahead and head over downstairs again. Open this door, and there's our basket again, so let's head down and let's walk in our trigger area here. It should spawn in 10 seconds. Get to the top of the stairs, and let's just kind of peek around the corner, have a look. So it's pretty much going to look very similar to the guarding. So he's just going to stand right where it is, and we have the idle stand animation, so he's just kind of going to chill there and not really do anything. Of course, he will still get aggroed if he sees me, and he's looking pretty much straight at the basket. But yeah, that's pretty much all there is to Enthralled. Not really too much complex stuff there. Very similar to guard, and again, if he notices me, he'll come after me, and he should just end up running right back up once he sees that. Once he can't find me anymore. So let's just kind of see. I think he spotted me again. Yeah, he's gonna get stuck now. But yeah, so again, pretty much very similar to guard. Just use them in the way that I said. Enthralled is just for like attraction, while guard is for like just hardcore guarding a certain spot. And Enthralled is a bit more basic as well, as there's less animations you can do. So yeah, that's pretty much it. So let's go ahead and head back to our script and talk about the last thing we're going to be talking about, the random wander area. So let's head back. Alright, so we're back in our script. So again, just like the other one back here, let's go ahead and put our slashes here to comment this out. And now let's talk about random wander area. Alright, so and the setup again is pretty much identical to the previous ones. So we'll do ghoul underscore, let's write it out again, I mistyped it, random ghoul mode random wander area. So setup, so ghoul mode random wander area setup, and it needs 4 values. It needs the name of the ghoul, so ghoul whole way here, comma, space, and then we need the vector that he should be guarding. So the vector, this is a 3D vector, so this is just pretty much coordinates and X, Y, and Z position in the game. So I'm going to show you 2 ways to get the position you want, but the most simplest way to put in a position is to literally type C vector 3F, and then we'll do parentheses, and then in here you type in 3 coordinates, so it would be like 0, 0, 0, so that's an X, Y, and Z of 0 for everything. But we're gonna put that in right now. We'll pop in actual numbers in a second. Let's just finish with the values here. So the last two values are the distances that he should be guarding. So I want him guarding from, I'm going to say 0, so the origin point that we're going to specify. So from 0, meaning the min distance from this point being 0, up to a max distance of, and then here we can specify 5. So yeah, so he should be guarding a radius of pretty much 5, and he'll use any patrol points that you have in your level to kind of navigate through in that 5 radius. And again, it's random, so he'll just kind of walk around that area, just kind of pretty much doing nothing. If you have smelling enabled, he might smell the player and stuff, but he's pretty much just going to be walking around, just kind of looking around. So now let's talk about how you get these coordinates. So if we go to our level editor, and I will zoom us out here, on the right side, when you have any object selected, you have a position here, an X, Y, and Z position here under position. You can, for example, let's say we want them to be right here. Let's duplicate this, put it right here, and then we go general. So now we have its coordinates. The object we just copied, we have its coordinates X, Y, and Z. So we can learn, if we want them to be right here, we can literally just copy this, and we don't need the actual entity here. So for example, they conveniently place a copy button here. You can just hit copy, and then we can just delete our thing here. We don't actually need it to be in the level. We can go back to our code line application, and we can just in here just paste all the 3 numbers, and then we'll do comma here, just separate them by commas. So you have 16.75 is the X, 0 is the Y, and 1 is the Z. So if we go back to the level editor here, I deleted it, but it would correspond to these the numbers that we put down there. That's pretty much how you can specify direct coordinates. But let's say you didn't want to specify direct coordinates. Let's say you wanted to get coordinates from an entity that's already in your level. You could do that as well. If we go to the level editor here, let's say we wanted to have him wander the area around here. We want this position here specifically. What we would do pretty much is go back to our script here, and that's our basket 1. And I'll zoom in. And we're gonna type a little bit here, and I'm actually gonna copy this and just kind of put it here, and just kind of comment it out so you guys can have that there to see. But what you're gonna type here is map get entity. You can see it should come up already. So we're pretty much gonna get an entity in our map, and that's gonna be basket 1. So now with this, we get our entity object in our script, and now we can kind of do whatever we want with it. What we're gonna do though, and again, since these are equals, they already have the default values. You don't have to put them in. So we're just putting in the name of the entity. Then you do dot get position. That should be the first one here, and that's pretty much it. So when you call, so you're getting the entity object for basket 1, then you're getting its position, and its position returns a C vector 3D coordinate that we need in here. And if you're wondering, like, it might be a bit of work to show you, but when you, for example, when you're running a function here, for example, it's just any of these here, you'll see this one returns void. Let's look at some other ones. You see this one returns bool, which means it'll return a boolean. And then this one, you see, returns an int, returns t-string. So when you type in that function, you can spot it, and you can tell, you'll see that it returns C vector 3F, which is what we're looking for. And this is how you get it here. So that'll get us the X, Y, and Z coordinate of our basket. So that's what we're gonna stick with, instead of using these hard-coded values here in our level, because maybe you end up moving the map around or something. Then these values change, as opposed to the basket, which, if it were actually an object we wanted to keep in our level, it probably won't be moving because we won't relocate it. And if we do relocate it, the script will pretty much auto update, because you're specifying it based on the entity and not the coordinates that the entity was on. So this could be better in that case. Yeah, so this is pretty much all we need to do to set up the random wander area. Now we just have to go ahead and actually do the setting the mode. So just as before, Ghoul mode set, and then just like before, Ghoul hallway, comma space, and then we'll do eGhoul mode, and do random wander area again. That's the one we want here, and then we'll do comma space, and again we'll set this to false, as we'll just let him switch states naturally instead of forcing him to. And that's pretty much it for random wander area. So the Ghoul should now hang around a 5 unit radius around the basket, since we specified that coordinate. And if you specify these coordinates, of course he'd hang around within a 5 radius of these coordinates here. But yeah, so let's save this up. Let's go ahead and give it a run and check it out. This is actually the last functions that we're going to be talking about for today's episode, so let's go ahead and execute our game and check it out. Alright, so we're back in the level now, so let's go ahead and head down and activate them. So our basket's right here, so we should see him kind of walk towards the basket. Actually, he won't necessarily walk towards the basket. He'll walk in a 5 meter radius around the basket here, so he'll just kind of walk around within 5 of this basket and kind of do whatever he wants. So let's go ahead and go down and activate him here, and head to the top to just kind of watch him. And again, we'll peek around the corner just so he doesn't spot us here, and we can kind of just watch his behavior. There he is. So he might actually drift far enough to actually spot us here if he ends up wandering far enough. But let's see, can we avoid getting seen? Let's see. Okay, looks like he's just kind of derping around here. And there he goes. Off to wander some more. So yeah, so this is pretty much what he'll do within the 5 thing. And if the basket moves, he will continue moving with the basket. And we didn't set the basket to be static or anything like that. So he will just continue to literally kick around that basket. So we probably would want to set that basket to not be, you know, movable. We can set it to be a static object. But yeah, so that's pretty much it. Again, 3 really good functions to know. 3 different sets of functions to know for more, you know, so for some more life to bring to your custom story, to bring some more interesting Ghoul functionality to your level. So with that, we'll wrap it up. We have been on enemies for a little bit here, and we probably will be on enemies. I'm thinking if the next episode isn't the last, then maybe 2 or 3 more episodes on enemies. I'm not 100% sure. I just have to. I know roughly. I think next episode we're gonna be talking about we'll be talking about tunnels and having the Ghoul use tunnels, but there is a little bit behind it, so it might need to be in 2 parts, and then after that I'll have to double check to make sure there's nothing else Ghoul related that we want to kind of review. So I'm thinking, you know, either 1 to maybe 4 more episodes on enemies, but I'm not 100% sure yet. We'll see about that, but we do still have a ton of other topics to talk about, and you guys have been leaving your suggestions, and of course I keep all these written down somewhere for the future video ideas that I'm going to be working on. So if you have any more suggestions, definitely leave them in the comments. I definitely would add them to the list, and we'll look at them in the future. For now, we're gonna wrap it up here, guys. Make sure you leave a like on the video, you comment on the video, and if you're not already subscribed, what are you waiting for? Go ahead and get subscribed. We got a lot more of these to pump out, and great series ahead to keep working on. So make sure you guys stay tuned. Have a good one, guys. Bye.